Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on the color line. Oh, no way, Jose.
This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Hello, friends and listeners. You've got Watch Skip Plus in your ears and your eyes if you're watching us on YouTube or Spotify. We are a weekly movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. The twist is after we review a streaming theatrical film, we talk about a plus, and that's a bonus review that can basically be anything. But this episode that you are tuning into is actually our Oscars 2025 prediction show. So we've actually had a couple of these and had one with each of the new hosts. So my new co-host is Mike, the WillDaBeast. Mike, how are you today?
Doing good.
Excellent. And we are joined by Fakest of Shemps, Jeremy. He's joining us as the guest on this episode. As you know, before we get started, if you are watching us on Spotify, listening to us on Spotify, go ahead and click follow, like, subscribe, do all those fun things, especially with YouTube as well. You can even click the little bell and you'll get a notification of when a new video gets posted. Make sure to leave a review, drop comments in YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching. And that way we can get this pod community going. And so, Jeremy, Fakest of Shemps, do you want to introduce yourself? You are brand new to this show.
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm the Fakest of Shemps. You can call me Jeremy also. I've been friends with Mike for at least a decade on the socials. I've known your name for probably as long, though we didn't connect till recently. But we all go back together, I'm assuming, to the Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema.
Oh, yeah.
I go all the way back to when they were on the Pop Syndicate boards. I started them on episode number 6, I believe. And I've been with you guys ever since, and watched many of us start podcasts, many of us stop podcasts, many new podcasts. It's been fun.
Very
fun
nice.
Movie community.
Yes, we love the Gentleman's Guide. It's how we all connected. So yeah. Ed,
One thing I want to say before, Jeremy, the first movie we ever talked about was Bling Ring. I just got back from the theater from it. That's how long we've been friends.
So that's what, 2010?
2011, yeah. It's been like 14,
that,
15 years,
yeah.
wait, the Bling Ring?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't even remember the director's name now.
Sophia,
duh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Didn't that have Hermione in it or whatever?
Sure did.
Yeah. Okay, got
She's
it.
very delicious in it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a solid flick. I've seen it a couple times.
My favorite
Nice.
movie of that year.
Excellent.
Yep, I remember
Okay,
we
so
talked about it.
we're going to start with the Oscar for Best Writing Original. And so the nominees are Sean Baker for Honora, and the logline for Honora goes, a young escort from Brooklyn meets and impulsively marries the son of a Russian oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as his parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. Our next nominee is going to be Brady Corbet and Mona Fastvold. I do believe that they are married, and they both wrote The Brutalist. The logline for Brutalist goes, when a visionary architect and his wife flee post-war Europe in 1947 to rebuild their legacy and witness the birth of the modern United States, their lives are changed forever by a mysterious wealthy client. Our next nominee is Jesse Eisenberg, actor Jesse Eisenberg. Shout out to Batman versus Superman, where he played Lex Luthor. And that film is A Real Pain, which I did not end up doing a logline for. But A Real Pain is basically about two brothers. One of them is quite grating, and the other is kind of like obsessive compulsive. And they take a trip to Poland to visit their ancestors or see where their ancestors lived. The next nominees are Moritz Binder and Tim Fellbaum and Alex David for September 5th. And I also did not do a logline for that. So anybody know what September 5th is about?
September 5th is about the Bloody September Olympics in 1972, when Israeli Olympics team was taken captive. And I believe this is about the ABC studio and kind of what they were doing while they were covering it.
Was that not the subject of, was that Munich, the Spielberg movie?
I was going to say it's a prequel to Munich.
A prequel to Munich. Okay. Listen, folks, I don't really know my history, so, whatever. I'm sorry. And then our last nominee is Coralie Farge for The Substance. The logline goes, a fading celebrity takes a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. So, Jeremy, I'm going to start with you. What do you want to win out of these nominees for Best Writing Original Screenplay?
This is the hardest category, I think, because I have not seen September 5th, but from everything I've heard, it's pretty good. But the rest of them are all kind of bangers. Yeah. I think out of all of them, sorry, Mike, I think I want Nora to win.
Oh, okay.
But I do think Jesse Eisenberg, he has been picking them up left and right, or at least one on the left or right, awards. And I have a feeling he's probably going to take it home along with his supporting actor award for A Real Pain.
Nice. So did he get a Golden Globe? Is that what happened? Or I'm sure like critics maybe.
You know what? I can't actually remember. Actually, he just won the BAFTA. He won the BAFTA.
Got it. Yes.
Which that's right. Kind of crazy considering that, it's a small little American movie.
Yeah. With a little bit of an international flavor, of course.
Sure.
I think it's not the first that Eisenberg has written, I don't think, but
I know he's directed another movie, and from all I've heard, it is terrible.
Oh,
it's not good.
Well, all right. Which one was that? Vivarium? Is that the one?
No, it's got Finn, what's his name, and then our beautiful redhead Juliette Moore, and it's not good. I can't even remember the name. But,
interesting.
Something about the end of the world, maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
I saw it at Sundance whatever year it came out. I just remember it wasn't good. So I wasn't going to see A Real Pain. I'm glad I saw A Real Pain at Sundance and I liked it. But okay, we'll keep going.
Well, let me ask you this before we segue. Jeremy, you said I'm sorry when you said Honora. Why did you say that?
Oh, I just know how much the WillDaBeast loves Honora.
It's a good movie. It is a good movie. It just didn't work for me. I think it's more subjective.
But I guess, Jeremy, the question is why do you want that to win? What did you see from Honora that in the writing that you enjoyed?
Well, you know what? That's a tricky question. I think I just went, honestly, with the movie I liked the best, and I didn't actually, if I was a member of the Academy, this would be bad, but I didn't go with, hey, I should think about what's on the page. Because honestly, if I'm looking at a screenplay and all that, Nora might not seem on the page as tight, because I think Sean Baker's energy brings a lot to the editing and all that. Whereas The Brutalist, I think a lot of that's probably on the page. A Real Pain, it's all on the page. So I think I just went with the movie I like the best.
Got it. Good points. WillDaBeast, what do you want to win in this category?
Well, it's funny. If you've asked me up until probably this morning, I would have said The Substance, but I'm going with The Brutalist. I loved the way The Brutalist was written. I loved the details in both the dialogue and like he said, you could tell everything was on the page. So for me, I really was swept away with The Brutalist and its screenplay. I think A Real Pain is going to win.
Really?
Yeah, I think A Real Pain is going to win. Again, Jesse Eisenberg was able to definitely, touch into some real feelings here that I know it was all on the page. I think that they're going to go with it. It might be Nora, but I'm going to go with, I think they're going to vote for A Real Pain, but I want The Brutals to win.
I might discuss this later when we get to some of the other nominations for A Real Pain, but I don't know. Maybe it felt too slice of life, I guess. I really did adore Honora, and I just caught The Brutalists today. I ended up spending like $20. Actually, I think I own it now on Prime because I was like, I need to see this before the Oscars. But I think this is where I'm going to diverge, and this is probably where I'm going to lose as well, just in terms of my predictions. But what I want to win and what I think will win are the same film, and that's Farge's The Substance. I think that it's I don't know. I just hope that the Academy, I don't think it has a chance to win Best Picture. It's way too outre. Even if we're talking about like Silence of the Lambs, like this is like Silence to 250 degrees, so there's no way it's going to be Best Picture. I will have a comment when we get to Best Actress with regards to Demi's performance in that film. But I really hope that they reward the screenplay because I just think it's so brilliant and so out of the box. I know a lot of people thought it was way too on the nose, but you know what? I think it was everything. It was on the nose. It was out of the box. It was in your face. It made for an uncomfortable viewing experience. And I don't know. It was fantastic. So I don't know. Like I said, I think I'm going to lose. We'll see. We'll see.
I love that movie, but I honestly think the screenplay is probably the weakest part about it. I'm not saying that that's bad screenplay. I just think it's the weakest.
Yep. I hear you.
But it's probably the on the nose parts,
Definitely, definitely. I mean, the dialogue is definitely it's very arch. It's very like, yeah, it's out there. Okay, so moving on to writing adapted, we've got James Mangold, fabulous director, and Jay Cox. By the way, Jay Cox co-wrote, I believe, Strange Days, which is one of my favorite Catherine Bigelow genre films ever. A complete unknown, logline goes, in 1961, an unknown 19-year-old Bob Dylan arrives in New York City with his guitar and forges relationships with musical icons on his meteoric rise, culminating in a groundbreaking performance that reverberates around the world. So the two of them did write that. Our next nominee is Peter Strawn for Conclave. The logline for Conclave goes, when Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with leading one of the world's most secretive and ancient events, selecting a new pope, which, by the way, maybe happen soon. I don't know. I'm praying for him. He finds himself at the center of a web of conspiracies and intrigue that could shake the very foundation of the Catholic Church. We've got Jacques Audiard and other writers for Amelia Perez. And that logline follows three remarkable women in Mexico, each pursuing their own happiness. Cartel leader Amelia enlists unappreciated lawyer Rita to help fake her death so that she can finally live authentically as her true self. Curious note about this screenplay. Apparently, Audiard had been working on this for quite some time. That's why there's like 3 or 4 other credited writers. And then he suddenly got the bright idea, let's make the main character a cartel drug leader who wants to change his gender. So it was like, somehow, when did that? I don't know. Anyway, I'd love to talk to him about the creative process. But our next are Ramel Ross and Jocelyn Barnes for Nickel Boys. And Nickel Boys is based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Colson Whitehead. Nickel Boys chronicles the powerful friendship between 2 young African-American men navigating the harrowing trials of reform school together in Florida. And the last is Clint Bentley and Greg Quidar. Quodar for Sing Sing, and that logline goes: Divine G, imprisoned at Sing Sing for a crime he didn't commit, finds purpose by acting in a theater group alongside other incarcerated men in this story of resilience, humanity, and the transformative power of art. I'll start with Mike. What do you want to win, and what do you think will win for best writing adapted?
Okay, so I guess I'll start with what I want to win. It came down to two for me on what I really liked the most writing wise, and that came down to Nickel Boys and Sing Sing. I really want Nickel Boys to win. I think that the way that it's put together puts you on both the choice and talk about a snub. The director should have been totally nominated for Best Director here. I love the point of view of it, but the way that it was written had to be formatted to work with that point of view. It's so well written. It's so well adapted. I really hope it wins. That movie overall to me was one I wasn't looking forward to, and one I'm really glad I ended up seeing because of this. But Sing Sing's to me is really close as far as what I really loved both films a lot. I think Conclave is going to win. I'm pretty sure Peter Strahan is going to win for that one, because it really does create a mystery, and the way that the story weaves and twists and turns, I think it fell on its nose. The end of that third act, I loved it up until that third act, which I didn't think I would like it. If you've watched this, if you watch me on these podcasts or follow me on social, you know I'm not big on like organized religion, and I thought this was going to be more glorifying it, but I actually liked what it was about, and so I think that. And especially from what we've seen from other shows, I think Conclave is probably going to be the winner here. What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat that the first two that you said are the only ones that I wrote down. I wrote down Nickel Boys and Sing Sing. What do I want to win? Honestly, I think I want Sing Sing to win, just because I really love that story. I love the fact that even though he's not a credited screenwriter, he is credited as the Divine G is credited as a story by. I just, it's very inspiring to me. It's a very much, I don't know, the movie really moved me. Movies about art and the healing factors of art often get to me, and this is a very good double feature with Ghost Light that came out earlier this year. Also,
Yeah,
I said the same
very
thing, dude.
wonderful movie. Yeah, it's so good. They're so good. Both
That's
of them
my
are
favorite
great.
movie of last year.
Oh wow! I mean, it's really good. And honestly, I didn't think I was gonna like Sing Sing as much, and I like it just as much. But you bring up a lot of good points with the Conclave, and I'm sure it did just win the BAFTA because, well, it's that whole British thing. Yeah, but I think Nickel Boys is got a good shot here because they do tend to like to. I mean, maybe a real pain is taking this spot up, but they do try to give one to an indie. You know, normally it's not nominated for Best Picture. Normally it's not nominated for anything else. Nickel Boys is unfortunately the one that's taking up that space this year. And when you talk about adaptation, I haven't read the book, so I can't talk about story wise, but they are taking something and they are adapting it to a new format and doing things visually that I'm sure have to be reckoned with on the page because of the way the movie's laid out, that it's kind of new. You can't argue with the final product. So whether or not it is there on the page, I think they're going to want to. I mean, it's hard because they're going to want to give Conclave something too, and I don't know what that is. But all right, but right now, I think Nickel Boys is what I'm going to stick with.
Just to comment on Nickel Boys. First of all, it was super long. It was super long, and it's it's a really emotional subject, right? I talked about this before with some other friends. The POV deal with Nickel Boys, it was, I ended up kind of being like, I'm over this. I wish it wasn't shot in POV. And then it actually changes to another character's POV. And then I was like, what's going on? It's interesting that the film is not nominated for cinematography, but before
It's
we
kind
move
of
on
insane.
it is a little weird, but before we move on to the next category, I was just wondering, Jeremy, what was your take on this POV deal? Because they really stick to it.
I was worried about it at first because, well, it sounds like a gimmick, and then, you think Hardcore Henry or
Right.
I don't know any. I'm sure there's billions of other movies or Peep Show, the comedy from the BBC, which it feels gimmicky. But then once I saw it, and then once it started playing out, because it's not like it's completely their POV. The camera does move around a little bit. Maybe it's supposed to be, them turning their heads or whatever. I don't know. It's very lush. It's
Yeah.
very beautiful. And, I believe, I don't know who did the cinematography there, but the director, Ramel Ross, I believe is a woman. And she did a documentary a few years ago that I think won, I'm not positive, but I didn't necessarily love it, but I loved the idea of her documentary, which was kind of just these static shots of a community and then telling a story. It's hard to kind of explain when I don't know the
Yeah.
name of the movie or how to whatever. But anyways, I
No, it's
I
good.
think she's a real talent, and I think that she's doing something fresh, which she did in the documentary, and I think she did it with her first feature, and I'm very excited to see what she does next.
Nice. Jomo Frey was the cinematographer for
Ah,
Nickel Boys. Yeah, and it looks like he had done something called like The Young Wife, Bob Marley, No Woman, No Cry, the music video in 2020. So what I want to
oh
win
shoot.
is yeah,
Yeah, what do you want to win?
what I want to win is Amelia Perez. I know this
Oh,
is
yeah.
so weird. I watched it on Netflix. I was so bowled over. By the way, I was also doing a theater production of Evita, the musical. And so when I watched it, it just really spoke to me, even though, yes, there's like that one musical number where they're like, a penis, whatever. And they're like talking about like chopping it up and whatever. But it's so weird that a lot of people were like, okay, I'm going to watch this. And they were like, I hate this movie. It's the worst movie in the world. There's a lot of in our community that are like, this is the worst, terribly acted, horribly sung musical I think I've ever seen. But I just fell in love with it. So I'm hoping that I want that to win, but I think what is going to win is Conclave. That's based on a novel by Richard Harris. We talked about that on our Watch the Plus episode for Conclave. But it was so compelling. I just, reading the log line and going to see that film, I was like, I'm going to hate this, right? I feel the same way about organized religion. I'm a reformed Catholic, recovering Catholic is what I should actually say. But I just was riveted to that screen. And then, yeah, and then I loved it. So I think that's what will win, but I really want Emilia Perez to win. Visual effects, because we love that. We love genre, right? So we've got our nominees are Alien Romulus. I would love to name all the people, but you can go to the nominations page for that. A Better Man. A Better Man. That's the one starring Sebastian Stan about a disfigured man who ends up basically.
No, that's
No,
not
wrong.
Birdman, is it?
Oh, is that the wrong one? Oh,
Better Man is the Robbie Williams is a monkey.
Yes, that's right. Better Man is the Robbie Williams biopic. However, the main character is a CGI'd monkey. Interesting. Dune Part 2. And then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which interestingly enough was 2024's first big like monster hit in terms of the box office. Like it just had legs and kept going. I didn't think that was ever going to happen, but whatever. And then of course Wicked. I'll start with you, Jeremy. Out of visual effects, what do you want to win and what do you think will win?
Honestly, what I want to win is A Better Man. I was really kind of blown away by that movie. I don't know anything about Robbie Williams. His music is not really my thing. And honestly, I don't know that the monkey effect is any better than anything that's going on in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes or the ones that had come before it. But because the movie made me buy it, I bought into it, and I never once thought Robbie Williams was not a monkey. I completely bought it. Unfortunately, that's the one I want to win, but at the same time, there's part of me that I won't be sad if Alien Romulus wins, which, it's an alien movie. Say what you will about it. But there's one thing I particularly like in that movie is that at the end, I guess spoilers, there's a moment, we've all seen it, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a moment where the spaceship's like crashing into the rings of a planet. And it's so beautiful and something I'd never seen before that I'm just like, how did this end up in this alien movie? But at the end of the day, I think they're going to give it to Dune.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I find that kind of boring.
Yeah, I would say so. And then, Mike, what do you think about visual effects?
Well, I wish I saw more of these. I only seen Alien Romulus and Wicked, and I saw parts of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I didn't finish it.
Parts?
Yeah, I saw part of it. Those 8 movies aren't for me. I'm sorry, they just aren't.
I love them. But anyway.
Again, I just don't like a lot of weird sci. So I haven't seen Doom Part 2 also either. Nor Better Man. So out of the 2 I've seen, Wicked and Alien Romulus, I would like Alien Romulus to win. I like the practical effects. I thought it was, I love the way that Fede can blend, practical effects with streamlined CGI. He does it in a really cool way that makes it all look pretty all practical. I
Just
think
out of curiosity. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so not good at interrupting.
Go for it.
I just want to know how you felt about Ian Holm.
I hated that part.
That was terrible.
I'm the only guy. It never bothered me.
Do you know how
I didn't like it, but I also
how I feel about Ian Holm in Alien Romulus? The same way I feel about Liv Tyler in Captain America: Brave New World. If anybody saw that, I talked about it on an episode. But it's such a weird, like, de-aging CGI thing, and I was just like, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Anyway, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Well, we know Dune Part 2 is gonna, or as all my friends out in the UK call it, June 2. But a funny story, my buddy Brian Higgins, when that first came out, we were playing squash together, and he kept saying, I went to the cinemas, I saw June 2. And I was like, you saw what? I saw June 2. I was like, you saw, what are you talking about? And he goes, Americans, Dune 2. And so whenever I hear Dune 2, I always call it June 2. And then if you listen to Raiders the podcast, Kevin calls it the same thing. June 2. Anyway.
That's not the lead singer of BTS.
Is gonna
Sorry. Anyway. So Dune, Mike, you have Dune 2.
Yeah, it's gonna win.
Yeah. Actually, so for my pick, I definitely think Dune 2 will win. And I'm with Mike. I want Alien Romulus to win just because the visual effects were spot on. Good. I did not really like the story and where it went. I mean, it was, I don't know. Anyway, it was.
That's fair.
Listen,
it's an alien movie. That's completely fair.
I mean, it's a step up from Resurrection, and it just felt like Alien's greatest hits. And then there was like a separate section where she's in a bunker. I don't know. It was just, I haven't even watched it again. So, there you go. Okay, we're gonna do production design next. And so again, I don't have all of the names, but we've got The Brutalist, Conclave, which I will add, I thought that they shot on location, but apparently they painstakingly recreated all of that stuff in a studio for Conclave. Amazing. Which I was like, what?
That's pretty amazing.
And then Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I'll start with Mike. What do you think will win for production design? Or want to win, sorry.
Who do I want to win? Oh, I want The Brutalist to win this, man. I mean,
okay.
Jeez. the creation, just everything that was created on the screen for $9.6 million. I mean, it looks like $120 million movie. I mean, it looks as good as what was last year's big movie, Oppenheimer. It looked as good, felt epic like Oppenheimer. And for 9.6 million, I love the production design of that movie. It bowled me over, like insanely bowled me over. So I want that to win.
Why don't you think it will win? What do you think will win?
I actually think that I think it's going to go to Nosferatu.
Really?
Ooh.
Okay.
I
Bold
could be
choice,
completely
sir.
wrong.
Bold choice, sir.
I could be completely. Again, I haven't seen Nosferatu, but everything I've ever heard people talk about is the cinematography and production design. Again, that's what I'm guessing. That's one of the few I haven't seen out of the bunch. So that's my guess. Again, I want The Brutalist to win. I'd love it if it did, but I could be wrong. It could end up winning. But I from everything I've heard, I feel like everyone's saying Nosferatu. But again, I haven't seen it, but it looks pretty from the trailers.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty. Oh, it's pretty. And that vampire dick. And then Jeremy.
I've heard all about the big
What's
see.
he-
It's one of those I feel like I don't have to see. I've seen his face. I don't know. Maybe I'll get to it eventually.
My husband was like, "What are the chances Bill Skarsgård is going to be naked in this?" And then we saw the dick, and I was like, "There you go." Jeremy, what do you think? What do you think is going to win for production design?
Well, when I went through and made my notes all here, I wrote down pretty much what I thought was going to win or what I wanted to win. And then if I had something else to say, I might write the other things down. And the only thing I wrote down for production design was The Brutalist.
Okay.
$10 million. I don't care about Wicked. I don't care about Nosferatu and its $50 million budgets. $10 million. That movie, as Michael said, looks just as good as Oppenheimer. And, maybe this would go under more cinematography, but like that opening shot, I mean, I guess you have to design the halls of that ship to get through, so you're just getting certain shots and wait so that when you come out and the Statue of Liberty is all upside down, it's just them putting I don't even know what it was, the dome, out. Oh my God, everything about it is just The Brutalist in any other year would be sweeping up tons and tons of stuff, and I don't know that it's going to happen, but I think it's got production design locked.
Nice. What do I want to win for production design? I wrote Conclave because obviously, as I just said, I thought it was shot on location. Apparently, the Vatican doesn't like people filming there, so the fact that they just recreated all of that and it looks authentic, that's what I want to win. But Jeremy, I agree. I think The Brutalist is going to take it. Just the design of that library alone, and then you get that other project, right? It's like, wow. But then everything, I don't know, the production design was just beautiful in that movie. You're shaking your head, Mike.
I loved it. I love The Brutalist. I hope I was just basing my Nosferatu guess because I haven't seen it, and that's again.
It's a valid guess.
Yeah.
It's a valid guess. Nosferatu looks beautiful. It's a Robert Eggers movie. It looks like a Robert Eggers movie.
It sure does.
But you gotta like the movie too. Normally, when you vote for it, normally.
Most likely, you're right.
Anyways,
you're right.
Okay, so moving on to music score, our nominees are Daniel Blumberg for The Brutalist, Volker Bertelmann, who I believe won the Oscar last year for All Quiet on the Western Front. Maybe not. Wicked, John Powell and Stephen Schwartz. Does that really count as a score because it's a musical? Chris Bowers, The Wild Robot, and then Clement Ducol and Camille for Emilia Perez. Mike, what do you want to win for music score? What do you think will win?
It's hard because there's two that I loved, and the rest I could really not care about. And so, to me, it's kind of a tie. I don't know.
You can't tie.
Okay. I'm going to go for it. I want The Brutalist to win, and I think Conclave is going to win. but it could be either or, and I'm fine because I love both of them so much. The music in both is great, but I think Conclave's going to win because, man, when that music snapped and you'd hear that pink, pink, and you were just like, oh. So there's a lot I loved about Conclave, but man, the Brutalist, the music in that movie, it just sweeps you on that epic journey. I loved it, but I think it's going to be Conclave, but I like the Brutalist. I'm a Brutalist boy. Sorry.
I do. When I was thinking about this, I was like, I do kind of like the Wild Robot, right? Animated. It's got that wonderful, like soaring kind of like score. I did also think about Amelia Perez because it's a new musical. So, the score and all of the music with it. But for me, what I want to win is Conclave. Because again, you're right. I liked the quiet moment score. Some of it was a little discordant, others was orchestral. It was really, really cool. But what I think is going to win is The Brutalist, because not only is it sweeping, but it's also period appropriate. So towards the end in 1980, we get that like electronic pop music and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I think will win is The Brutalist. Jeremy, your thoughts?
I want The Brutalist to win. That is what I wrote down. It's got has Johnny Greenwood been given his Oscar yet? Because it's got a very Johnny Greenwood feel, and I have a feeling this guy's going to get it before Johnny does. There's just it's those especially it's those strings and the brass is like they're coming. Again, it all goes back to that opening shot. Honestly, you make me want to go back and listen to that Conclave score because I'm sure I enjoyed it in the moment, but it's been so long since I've seen it, I don't really remember it. But I'm assuming it's by the same guy who did All Quiet on the Western Front for Edward Berger, and that soundtrack blew me away. So now you got me worried, but I'm going to stick with The Brutalist.
Okay, makeup and hair. So this is kind of interesting because when I think of this, I think like not necessarily makeup special effects, but I think they're lumping makeup special effects in here in some ways. So our nominees for makeup and hair are A Different Man. So not the monkey one, but the Sebastian Stan sort of Elephant Man one where, he has actually it's sort of cruel to say Elephant Man, but there's an actual disorder that this character has. And there is an actor who appears in it who has the actual disorder as well. Amelia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and then Wicked. Fantastic nominees here. Jeremy, what do you want to win? What do you think will win for makeup and hair?
It's all about The Substance. That movie without makeup is nothing. And it's all practical effects. Now that gets into what you were saying. It's like, where does that in special effects cross the line? But they are making it. And in fact, sometimes they're making two people in that movie. So I think
that's both your
with
want
all
to win and will win.
Considering it's such an odd kind of movie to be up for, it really is a new Academy. Because this is just, it's goopy. It's goopy in all the best ways, and I think they're going to want to give it some awards. I'm worried that they might be the only one.
Yeah. I just know seeing this in the theater, I mean, it was like at the end of Seven, right? The lights come up and everybody's just like, so it's kind of cool. But I feel the same way. I want and think will win The Substance. Mike, what do you think?
I'm the same. I want and think Substance will win. Wicked might come and steal it, but I think we're all right. I think The Substance is going to win.
So how do we feel, just really quickly before we move on to the next category, how do we feel about Nosferatu here and say A Different Man? Because, it's weird. All those things are happening in Nosferatu, the rats in particular, the goddamn rats, there were so many. But it's sort of like, the visual effects were really good, like the way the vampire looked and the all of that, the bloodletting and everything. And A Different Man, I mean, I kind of dug that as kind of like almost like an Elephant Man in some ways. But how did you feel about those, Jeremy? Those other ones? Do you think that any of those could steal it from the substance?
I think A Different Man really could, because people really like that movie. They really like Sebastian Stan in that movie, and he has to come through that makeup. What was the one you said right before that?
Oh, Nosferatu.
Oh, Nosferatu. I don't mind it being there. It's an honor to be nominated. And I think, once again, you're crossing the line between visual effects, special effects, and makeup, hair. So when I think of makeup and hair, I think it has to be on a person. It has to be a character. And so I think Nosferatu is definitely fits that bill.
Nice. Film editing. So something we talk about on our show, Watch Get Plus, is editing and just how the pacing of things goes. So we've got, for film editing, Sean Baker for Honora. WillDaBeast just rolled his eyes in an exorcism way, not an orgasm way, because we know how he loves Sean Baker. David Jansko for The Brutalist. Nick Emerson for Conclave, Juliette Welfing for Amelia Perez, and then Myron Kirstein for Wicked. What do we think out of all these has the best editing? I'll start with Jeremy. What do you think?
I think it's Honora. I think without the editing, because once again, I don't know what's on the page. I don't know how many hours of footage there are. But that movie moves, and it moves because Sean Baker knows how to make it move.
Yeah. So that's will win. Do you also think it's what you want? It's what you want it to win?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is because, again, it's just because anybody else editing that movie, I don't know that it's the same movie.
Got it. And oddly, it's funny, you were talking about how it moves until it doesn't, when it reaches that little
true.
Quentin Tarantino Hateful Eight scenario with
we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yes. Mike, what do you think?
I want Conclave to win. I thought the editing really made that thing move and snap and crackle. So I really want Conclave to win. I think that Honora is going to win just because we watched the game. You've seen it's won enough. I think it's going to win.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I want Conclave to win also. Like I said, Picking a Pope has never looked more exciting. It was like a Law and Order episode. It was fantastic, right? I was like, what am I watching? This is great. And this is weird. What I think will win, it's a toss-up between The Brutalist, which is a brutal 4 hours. I'm just kidding. No, it actually went by really well. When it hit the intermission, I was like, intermission already? But I think it's gonna be Honora as well. Just because even though there's that little slow section, it starts out with a bang,
Oh, I don't think that section's slow.
I know, but it starts out with a bang, and you're kind of like, what is this? Is this generation Y Pretty Woman or something like that, and then it changes into something else, which is kind of cool. All right, let's do costume design, actually. So our nominees are Ariane Phillips. Now, let me just say this. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Ariane Phillips, I was obsessed with her because she was a stylist for Madonna and a lot of like musical artists before she got into costume design for films. I think she even styled like fashion magazines like Bazaar and Vogue or whatever. So when I saw that she'd crossed over children, she'd crossed over into like motion pictures, I was like, yeah, Ariane Phillips, she rocks. I think she's worked on like a couple Tom Ford movies too. So it's Ariane Phillips for A Complete Unknown. Surprise, it's about a musical artist. Lizzie Christie for Conclave. Janty Yates. She's too many Oscar, folks. No more. She doesn't need any. Janty Yates and Dave Crossman for Gladiator 2, which is a crappy film.
Yeah.
Sadly.
It's an honor to be nominated.
Ooh, yeah. Linda Muir for Nosferatu, and then Paul Tazwell for Wicked. I'll go first. Here's what I want to win, and that's going to be Wicked. I want that to win, although strangely, I don't think it's going to win for whatever reasons. I feel like it might go to a complete unknown, and I don't know why. I think I might be completely off about that, but everybody loves a period piece, right? So just not the Gladiator 2 period, okay? But Mike, what do you think will win for want to win and will win for costume design?
I want a complete unknown to win. I felt like
Okay.
I was really like transported to that time period. Everything looked, felt, sounded just, oh my gosh. I love the way everything looked. The clothes they were wearing, the designs. It did look like everything that she'd seen from those classic photos of Bob Dylan and music from that period. So I love the costumes in that. But I think Wicked's gonna win.
Oh, really? Okay. Nice. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's really going to get anything, quite honestly. But the costumes were really beautiful. Jeremy, what do you think?
Well, out of all that, I don't even remember who all was nominated because the only thing I wrote down, I haven't even seen the movie, is Wicked.
Okay,
Yes,
nice.
everybody does love a period piece, as you said, but at the same time, how hard is it when you talk about costume design, designing something new compared to recreating something, to me, is a little bit more special, even if I don't care about the movie. And I
Right.
think they are going to want to give Wicked something, and I
Yeah,
think this might be it.
I think we're
Got
all
it.
right. I think it is gonna win. I really do.
And just as a correction, Janty Yates only has one Academy Award. She won for Gladiator in
Ah,
2000. She has gotten a lot of nominations through BAFTAs, Satellite Awards, Saturn Awards. She's a frequent collaborator with Ridley Scott. Her designs for Prometheus. Mwah. Anyway. Okay. Cinematography. We obviously we love things that are visual, so here we go. Nominated are, every time I see this name, I say LOL, like laugh out loud. But it's Lol Crawley for The Brutalist. I believe he's from the UK. Greg Fraser, Greig, also from the UK, Dune 2. Paul Guillaume for Amelia Perez. Ed Lockman for Maria. And Jaron Blaschke for Nosferatu. I'll start. Here's what I want to win is Nosferatu. I don't think there was any movie this year where throughout the film a shot would come up and I would just be like, how the fuck did you do that? Like, how much of this is actual practical? How much of this is actual CGI? And then to see an interview with Jaron Blaschke, who I hadn't really heard of before. I'm sure maybe he shot another Eggers film, maybe not. I don't know. But it just, I don't know how he did it. That was a marvel of cinematography. That's what I want to win. I think The Brutalist is what's going to win. Frasier, it's a sequel. Sorry. Ed Lockman, I love the cinematography for Maria. But yeah, I think LOL is gonna take the award. Jeremy, what do you think for cinematography?
I think they're probably all worthy candidates. I have not seen Maria yet, but I mean, all of Pablo's movies look beautiful. So, I mean, $10 million. Going to go back to that again. $10 million. Period setting. It's got to be The Brutalist. That opening shot. I keep saying shot.
Yeah.
There's lots of shots though. There's lots of shots. I mean, Greg Fraser. I think in any other, well, maybe not with The Brutalist in competition, but any other year when people thought that was going to be the last Dune movie, he might have had a shot. But
Yeah.
I think I think people know there's going to be more Dune. So
So is that both is the Brutalist both what you want to win and will win?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Actually, I didn't do the research on this because sometimes when we review films, I don't really research like reviews or see how it was shot or whatever. I just watch the movie and then we go in and do it. But The Brutalist, I don't know about you, but when I screened it, like I was seeing like film pops, like the way that old school 75 millimeter pops are. And I didn't know if that was digitally created or if they
Nope.
shot.
It was shot with VistaVision lenses from the 50s. Really, it's winning. I'm just gonna spit it out. It's gonna win, and it should win. It was.
Got it.
They
I
literally
saw it in
filmed it.
IMAX.
Oh, really?
I bet it looks
Wow.
so good.
Yeah.
I bet it looks
I
so
bet.
good in my Max. The VistaVision lenses from the 50s they used. That's
Okay, so so it said, shot in VistaVision, and I was just like, isn't
Yeah.
Brady Corbet like 27? I think he's considerably older than that. I had a crush on him when he was in that ridiculous Thunderbirds live action movie.
Gosh, I didn't even know of him until Martha May whatever that is. Martha May.
Yeah.
May
Well,
Lorraine.
He was also the lead in Greg Araki's Mysterious Skin.
oh
but
yeah,
it's-
he was.
Oh, he's the guy who's not
Yeah,
Jack.
JGL.
Brady
Yeah.
Corbet. Yeah. But what's weird though is that like he went on a recent press tour and was like, I haven't seen any money from The Brutalist. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do you go to the press and say, hey, I shot this great award-winning movie potentially, and I haven't been paid for it? I'm like, what are you doing? Why?
I mean,
Anyway.
you know what? You got to get paid. You know?
Yeah, you got to get paid. I mean, yeah. Okay. Best director. Here we go. We got Sean Baker. Don't roll your eyes. Mike Honora. Brady Corbet, we just talked about him, The Brutalist. James Mangold, A Complete Unknown. I am going to say James Mangold is one of my favorite directors. His resume is so varied and different in every movie. It's just so great. And I'm including Night and Day in this, folks. I am. Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, and then Horley Farget for The Substance. Jeremy, what do you want to win?
In my heart, I want Coralie Farget to win. Do I think she's the best? No. But since Luca Guadagnino and Challengers is not nominated for a goddamn thing,
I know.
Snubbed
for sure.
I'm gonna go with Brady Corbet because it's just an impressive feat. He spent years doing it. He wrote it. He directed it. He probably had to go through hell to find those damn lenses. You know,
And he's not getting paid for it.
And he's not getting paid for it. But there was a part of me before heading into this where I was like, the Academy Awards, at times, they give it to the right thing. Sometimes they give it to the wrong thing. And sometimes they just give it to their favorite things. And I think people love James Mangold. And I think they want to reward him. But I don't think this is the movie.
Yeah.
It's just, he's for me, he's a great solid workman director. And one day he'll make something I truly love, but he hasn't yet.
Wait, you didn't truly love Identity or Girl Interrupted or 3:10 to Yuma? A fantastic.
That is very good.
Western
That's one of those. No, he's a very good Hollywood filmmaker. Because the thing is, I really love the Wolverine.
Yes.
There are things I could talk about in the script, but none of it's because of Mangold. Like what he's doing in that movie, I think is great. Same thing with Logan. But no, my favorite movie of his is probably Heavy. Going back to our lovely Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler and Pruitt Taylor Vince, who showed up in Identity as well. Mike, what do you think?
Brady Corbet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No. Brady Corbet.
Okay. Excellent. Mike, what do you think?
I want the Brutalist to win. I want Brady Corbet to win. Everything that he had to put blood, sweat, and tears, years trying to get this epic done. Yeah. I again, I am an unapologetic brutalist boy. It won me over unlike anything I'd seen on this list of nominees. But I think that the Academy is going to make a brave decision, and I think they're going to give it to Sean Baker.
What? Wow.
Yeah, I think they're going.
Well,
I think they are. I really do. If not, the Brutalist is going to win. But I think that they might slide it to Sean.
So Mike shocked me. We had done an episode. We had talked about Honora, and I asked him his opinion on it, and Mike had been like, Sean Baker, all he does is poverty porn. And now I will always describe Sean Baker as poverty porn, which I think is terrible. It's like un-PC. But you really think that after Tangerine, Red Rocket, what was the other film? The Florida Project, I think it didn't get any Oscars, which I think a lot of people bemoaned that year. Yeah, Jeremy.
They're going to give it to him because he missed out those other. I think this is his chance to win. Maybe Brady. It's going to be between those two, in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. The Directors Guild of America gave it to Sean Baker, so the directors think it's Sean Baker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm not positive on the awards, and I know not everybody's allowed to vote for the documentaries, but everybody's normally allowed to vote for the big ones. And I'm pretty sure everybody gets to vote for director. So once you count in the entire Academy, that's a much bigger group. That's where I think the Brutalist will come out. But the directors said Sean Baker.
Interesting. So this is where I'm going to divert, not necessarily from everybody, but Jeremy, I want Farge to win for The Substance. I desperately want her to win for The Substance. So when we think about it, directors, what does a director do? A director pulls out a performance from their actors and actresses. And while you could arguably say, I know you hate Mikey Madison, you can arguably say that Sean Baker pulled out a brilliant performance from Mikey Madison. And we'll talk about him later, Yura Borisov, and then of course Mangold, Courbet. What Farge did with The Substance was absolutely incredible. The minute they announced that on pre-order, I was like, anyway. So this is where I divert. Even though there was the controversy over Carla Sofia Garzón, who was in the Emilia Perez as the main character, and her sort of racist tweets that have kind of come out, and then she ended up actually going silent and not even talking about it, which is like, what are you doing? I think they're going to give it to Jacques Audiard. Yeah, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and I think that he got the BAFTA for it. So it's very interesting that that this year there's a lot of really great films and filmmakers and actresses and actors and performances and stuff. So I think it's gonna go to Jacques Audiard. Like I said, I'm diverting. So we'll see. We shall see.
I got my list of little BAFTA nominees here, and I wrote down Conclave, but then I don't have a director. The only thing I wrote down was Emilia Perez, so I'm guessing that's what that was.
Maybe I read it wrong. Hold on a second.
No, I think you're right. No, I'm saying I'm just out of what I wrote down. I think that's how I think that's why you're right.
Oh no, actually it was Brady Corbet. He won. Shit.
Oh, well, Emilia Perez won something.
It did. It might have won.
Because it won Saldana and it won something
Oh,
else.
it won film not in the English language. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So Cupcake was wrong. Anyway. All right. So moving on, we've got international film. And we have I'm Still Here. So the logline is: a mother is forced to reinvent herself when her family's life is shattered by an act of arbitrary violence during the tightening grip of a military dictatorship in Brazil, 1971. And to think I thought this was a family drama. I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's one. The other is The Girl with the Needle. And that log line goes: Copenhagen, 1919. A young worker finds herself unemployed and pregnant. She meets Dagmar, who runs an underground adoption agency. A strong connection grows, but her world shatters when she stumbles on the shocking truth behind her work. The other film, Emilia Perez, which we talked about. The next is The Seed of the Sacred Fig. And that logline goes, investigating Judge Iman grapples with paranoia and political unrest in Tehran. When his gun vanishes, he suspects his wife and daughters, imposing draconian measures that strain family ties as societal rules crumble. Also, I think that runtime for that film is close to the Brutalist as well. And then Flow, that logline goes, Cat is a solitary animal, but as its home is devastated by a great flood, he finds refuge on a boat populated by various species and will have to team up with them despite their differences. Best international film. I'll start with Jeremy. What do you want to win, and what do you think will win?
I think I want The Seed of a Sacred Fig to win. I saw that a couple weeks ago and I really enjoyed it. It really makes you think. It gives you a slice of life that you don't normally see because it's Iran. But it does have a third act climax problem with characters making bad choices, and it's not perfect. But out of all those movies, I think that would be my favorite of them. But I think with Emilia Perez being shot in the foot by its lead, and I think a lot of people in Hollywood actually taking that to heart, I think they're gonna just roll right over to the Brazilian side and go give it to I'm Still Here.
Okay. Got it. Mike?
I want and think it will win I'm Still Here. I just saw this a couple days ago in the theaters and it bowled me over. And I've been a fan of the director since I saw Diary of a Motorcycle back in Sundance. I love what he does. He's so good at a period piece. And this one just stuck with me. I did not expect to like this as much as I did, but I loved I'm Still Here. I really think that because, again, Emilia Perez shot itself, I think so much backlash after what was said by the lead and it getting it too much attention too fast at the Golden Globes, and then everyone started just hating on it. So I really think that knocks it down. So I think I'm Still Here is going to win.
Nice. That's the one I have not been able to see, and the one that I really want to see. We were talking about this before. Walter Salles is, maybe it's Salles, has directed. Salles has directed On the Road, The Motorcycle Diaries. He also remade Dark Water with Jennifer Connelly, which I think is such a strong movie. I've seen that so many times, more than really anybody should rewatch Dark Water, quite frankly. But I just love that director. And On the Road was fantastic, even though people were like, "Oh, it's so boring." Yeah. And not just because Garrett Hedlund showed his butt in it. It's a good movie. But so for me, what I want to win and what I think will win is Emilia Perez. We have this conversation all the time, right? Separating the work from the artist. And I think, in the GGTMC community, the podcast community, we always mention Victor Salva and Jeepers Creepers, right? Mm-hmm. What a great, effective horror film. It's disgusting, it's gross, it's creepy. And turns out Salva was also disgusting, gross, and creepy. Excuse me. But even though the lead is saying these things, right? I don't think that diminishes the film and all the other hard work that went into that. And so again, that's what I want to win, and that's what I think will win, which is Emilia Perez. Yeah. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that about Victor Salva, but anyway. Powder is actually not bad either. Okay. Animated feature.
I actually like most of his movies. It makes me feel weird.
Yeah, it does. There's a weird sheen to it, of course. But all right, animated feature. We have Flow, which we just talked about. Inside Out 2, that is the sequel to Inside Out. Logline goes, a sequel that features Riley entering puberty, whoa, okay, and experiencing brand new, more complex emotions as a result. As Riley tries to adapt to her teenage years, her old emotions try to adapt to the possibility of being replaced. Memoir of a Snail, and this logline goes, a bittersweet memoir of a melancholic woman named Grace Puddle, a hoarder of snails, romance novels, and guinea pigs. Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Top dog Gromit springs into action to save his master when Wallace's high-tech invention goes rogue and he is framed for a series of suspicious crimes. And then the wild robot, that logline goes, after a shipwreck, an intelligent robot called Roz is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's animals and cares for an orphaned baby goose. Mike, animated feature, what do you want to win and what do you think will win?
First off, I just want to say the animation features this year were all pretty good. This was a hard one for me. I'll say I think the Wild Robot's going to win. It looks great. It's beautiful. People from age 5 to 95 love it. They watch, they cry. I loved it. But I really hope that Flow wins. That would be what I would want to win. What a visual treat that was. I saw that in theaters. I took my little kids to see it. That movie blew me away. So if I had to choose what I want to win, it would be Flow. But I think the Academy is going to go with the sweet, sentimental, everyone likes the Wild Robot.
Let me ask you this. You made a comment about how the Wild Robot, all the audiences love it, right? Do you think it's a prerequisite that young kids would enjoy the best animated feature? I mean, obviously our Academy voters are adults. Do you think they look at those films through that lens, or do they simply look at it just as a work on its own? What do you think?
They look at it as a work on its own. I mean, they've given it to too many adult features or Miyazaki films in the past where they could have given it to kids' films. So I think for the most part, the Academy gives it to what film they believe it really is supposed to go to. But a shout out to Memoir of a Snail, which really, if it wasn't for Flow, I really want Memoir. I think that's Adam Elliott's best film so far, feature film. His very first Harvey Crumpet, nothing beats that. Like, not his very first, but I guess it's a 25-minute short. I remember seeing that many, many years ago on a DVD collection of animated shorts. But I did love Memoir of a Snail too, but again, I think it's Wild Robots to win, but man, I loved Flow, and I know it's out there on Max, and people are finally getting their eyes on it. But what a cool movie!
Yeah. So, you mentioned Memoir of a Snail. I watched it recently. If you have Prime AMC Plus, it's actually streaming for free. And I have never cried so hard and laughed so hard at intervals throughout an animated film like I did that film. And I want it to win. The reason why, it's funny that I just asked you this question. Do they look at it, whether it's kids or is it adults, as work on its own? For whatever reasons, I think that Memoir of a Snail is probably too adult, too ribald to win Best Animated Feature. Trigger warning to people. There's cruelty to pets. There's a masturbating judge. There's there's nationalists, it appears. There's homophobia. This movie went places I didn't think an animated feature would go, but it also made me feel all of these emotions. I was destroyed at the end of this film. Quite frankly, I want it to win. I don't know that it will. And I'm thinking that Flow will win. The thing about Flow, and I don't want to do any spoilers, is as a warning to anybody who watches it, I think what you need to do is divorce yourself from the whole, why is this happening? Why is the world like this? And just go with the story. Because I think I know people who tend to do that. They're like, well, why would they do that? This doesn't make sense. When is this set? And I think if you just go with the story, it's really effective in a way that doesn't feel as programmed as the Wild Robot. There are segments of the Wild Robot that just feel too disparate, that I felt like maybe this could have been a series, or maybe this felt too programmed, right? It's like, oh, adoption, oh, surrogate parenthood, oh, and while I love The Wild Robot, I don't know. I just think Memoir and Flow were much better. Jeremy, what do you think?
I think Flow is going to win. I hope Flow is going to win. My favorite's actually probably the 2025 Netflix release, Wallace and Gromit. But I am one of the few people in the world that, yes, The Wild Robot, I think is beautiful to look at. I actually kind of despised it. I think it is just a bunch of sketches. I think there are gender issues with it. I think there's a lot going on, or I think there's a lot not going on in that movie where people think there is.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me. I don't know. But Flo's got the inspiring story, small budget, little country, made it with Adobe with Flash or whatever. I don't know. But and they both, but that and Wild Robot, they both won at the Annies. So it's up in the air, but I'm hoping and voting go in my heart with Flo.
Very nice. Excellent. All right, we got some big categories and we're going to sort of wrap this up. Okay. Okay, best supporting actor. We've got Yura Borisov from Anora. He is Russian. Apparently he's been awarded nominated for all of these international awards for the Russian films that he's been in. I've only seen a couple of them because I'm kind of obsessed with Russia and Russian men. But he really was outstanding in Anora. Kieran, not that I'm like, spoiling anything for my choice. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and then Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Is he related to the other Strong guy, the bald Mark Strong, the bald guy? I don't know.
No.
I thought maybe they were brothers. Anyway.
One's British.
Oh, got it. Okay. Jeremy, speaking of Jeremy's, Jeremy, who do you want to win for Best Supporting Actor and who do you think will win?
Well, who I want, I'm not sure because I really do love Kieran Culkin. But when I watch that movie and after Succession, it's hard not to just see Kieran Culkin in a lot of everything Kieran Culkin does.
Yeah, yes.
I think they're going to reward him for that, and I think he's great in that movie. But I didn't love that movie the way I wanted to, and it's part of it's because of that character's. Well, he's a real pain to be around, and so I don't know. I have not actually looked at the pictures of these supporting actors, but I assuming Yuri is
the bald Russian.
The love, yes.
The
guy who's in love with her. Yeah, okay, yes. I think in my heart I would like him to win, but this is the one time I really love. I don't really like A Complete Unknown. I think it's just another. I don't know how James Mangold hasn't seen Walk Hard. I think he's very good at what he does, but he keeps doing it. But Ed Norton in that movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He walks on stage and I see Ed Norton as soon as I see him, but then he opens his mouth and it's all gone. I never see Ed Norton for the rest of the movie. He is so good in that movie that when he's in scenes with Chalamet, I'm shocked they nominated Chalamet for fucking an Oscar.
Yeah. Mike said the same thing about Ed Norton. So wait a minute. So you want Yura to win? You think Kieran will win?
Yeah, I would want Yura to win. I think it's Kieran. Obviously, I think everybody thinks that.
Got it.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm the same way with you, Jeremy. I really want Yura Borisov to win. Just like his character in the movie, he comes out of nowhere. And it's like his character is the only person that can see Anora for who she is and what she's going through. And it's such a sly performance with not a lot of words. It's almost like a silent acting gig in some ways. But he really just stole my heart in that film. Now, who I think is going to win, I'm probably going to have to, I don't know. There's a part of me that wants Guy Pearce to win, right? Because I think his performance in The Brutalist was definitely very, very strong. And I was just saying this with Mike before recording, he was in the press recently because he was talking about how Kevin Spacey had made him uncomfortable on the set of like LA Confidential. He heard the news about Kevin Spacey. He broke down sobbing. And then Kevin Spacey brought out this video where he was like, "You're not a victim. Let's talk about what you really are." And it was just like creepy. And then you kind of see that in The Brutalist, like his character. And then you're just like, okay, he's power hungry. And ooh,
well, now I do.
Yeah. And now he does this. And then I was like, ooh, strange. I'm like, were you channeling Spacey? Anyway, I would want him to win, or I think maybe he might win, but I'm going to give it to Kieran Culkin as well. Jeremy, I feel the same way about Kieran Culkin. I liked A Real Pain. I wasn't bowled over by it. And one of the reasons why is because I hated the Kieran Culkin character. In fact, I hated him so much that when the movie ended, I was like, his character didn't change. There's no arc. He's the same asshole throughout the entire fucking movie. And the only person who changes is Jesse Eisenberg, who realizes I fucking hate my brother. So yeah, anyway. Mike, what do you think?
Oh, what do I think? I think that Kieran Culkin made all of us hate him a whole lot, and the Academy's going to give it to him. So he's going to definitely win, no question. But who bowled me over out of this was Jeremy Strong's performance in The Apprentice.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, what a vile, revolting, but you understand why he's the way he is and the way he builds Donald Trump into who he is. That role is he just eats it up. And that's one of those surprise movies that I would not have watched at all if it wasn't for the show. And I actually really liked The Apprentice a lot.
Wasn't willing to pay for it.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Best Supporting Actress, we've got Monica Barbaro. If you guys don't know her, she's gorgeous. She was in Top Gun Maverick. She was one of those like side characters, as was Danny Ramirez. And somebody they're still trying to make happen, Glenn Powell. Or Ariana Grande, Wicked, Felicity Jones, The Brutalist. She's been nominated before for A Theory of Everything. Mm-hmm. So it was just interesting because didn't that deal with was that Stephen Hawking, or am I not? Was the theory okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because she was in love with Stephen Hawking, who was in a wheelchair, and then in The Brutalist, she's in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair.
Anyway, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and then Zoe Saldana. Have we been pronouncing her last name wrong all these freaking years? Saldana for Amelia Perez. Jeremy, who do you want to win? Who do you think will win for Best Supporting Actress?
Out of all of those, I think I'm sorry, I just had to think because I don't know who I'd want to win. Who I'd want to win, honestly, out of all those, I think is Isabella Rossellini, even though it's not much of a part. But she brings everything that is Isabella Rossellini to it. And maybe it's just because I like her movie more than I like the others. But I think it's Zoe Saldana's to lose. I think no matter the backlash of Amelia Perez, the backlash is not against, arguably, if you go by her box office, the most successful woman in the history of film. She's got how many franchises in the top 10 to her name? And I think I think people like her, and I think everybody's going to want to give it to her.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Amelia Perez, Zoe Saldana is going to win. She's so fun. That musical scene that she does just steals it for me. But I really want Felicity Jones to win. I mean, when she comes in at that end and calls out our villain, oh my God. I stood up and was like,
yeah,
I loved her in that throughout, even though she's only in the second half of the film. She stills that second half. I loved every moment that Felicity Jones was in The Brutalist. But again, I'm a Brutalist boy, so it can win everything, and I'll just be.
I thought Felicity Jones was strong, maybe not that strong. Jeremy, it's interesting you mentioned Isabella Rossellini in Conclave, because me and MC, when we reviewed the film, MC was like, why was she there? And if you look at the film as a metaphor for just the world and how we're all kind of getting along. She represented the female element in this bastion of like a male dominated, like, organized religion. And so not to get all like highfalutin, but at the end of the film, there are, I made a lot of hay about this in our episode, so you can listen to it. But like, there's a door that opens, and these nuns kind of come out, and they're like talking and laughing or whatever. And then the last shot is the door slowly closing. And to me, based on the twist of Conclave, that was sort of like a hopeful thing that organized religion can be open to women in higher status, in becoming priests or transgender or LGBTQ being accepted. Like, that was a hopeful image ending for me. And for Isabella Rossellini, I thought the same thing at first, like, why is she even in this? But she represents that sort of like woman component, and they turn to her for like this advice or that, and she gets everything set up. She's a foundation for everything, and yet she's not really recognized. And so it is a strong performance. But who I want to win and who I think will win is Zoe Saldana. I'm a big Center Stage girl. That's one of my favorite movie musicals of all time. Zoe Saldana was in it, and it was just such a joy to see her singing and dancing again. She didn't sing in Center Stage, but just singing and dancing. And I want her in more musicals. So yeah, I really hope she sweeps and takes it. All right, moving on to Best Actor. We've got Adrian Brody, Brutalist, Mike's Brutalist boy. There you go. Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Rafe Fiennes, it's Rafe, not Ralph, for Conclave. And then, speaking of, Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, in a role that there wasn't a lot of press about it because a certain Wizard of Orange was trying to squash the press. So it's a wonder he actually got nominated for this. I'm glad that the Academy awarded him. But Mike, I'll start with you. Who do you want to win, and who do you think will win for Best Actor?
Well, I want, and I think Adrian Brody's going to win. I think he ruled the Brutalist. He leads us through. I even think it's a better role than his past win for The Pianist. So this is Adrian Brody's year. He's going to win it. But I will shout out both Coleman Domingo, who I thought was good, and Sebastian Stan, who I really liked. But I think I loved The Brutalist. I loved Adrian Brody, and I think it's his to take it home. He's going to take a second for sure.
Got it. Jeremy?
Oh, I definitely think it's going to be Adrian Brody. And out of that grouping, Coleman Domingo's great. I honestly, I really don't think Timothée Chalamet's should be up there. But I don't think anybody compares to Adrian Brody. He has to hold that movie together. His face is everything in every scene of that movie. It's a powerhouse performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brody's gonna win. He's obsessive, and he's just dealing with the weight of everything that he's gone through, and you really do see it. And it is really sad when you see him in that wheelchair with like the Bell's palsy, and and his, like, he's being honored and stuff like that. But then even just I'm going to call it the twist of, like, at that presentation, when you hear the design elements and what really inspired him, and it's kind of like a big fu to, Guy Pearce and the America that he was growing up in, that is hopeful at once, but then at the same time looks terribly on outsiders and treats outsiders and foreign people with a lot of suspicion and a lot of hatred. So I'll say that I'm with you guys. I think he's going to win. Who I really want to win, though, is Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, because he really surprised me. His character could have just been that sort of motivated character that takes you from one step to another into the room so you can hear everything, but he really gets twisted sister over it, over this whole, like, the conclave and what's going to happen in the future. And even in that third act when the little twist is revealed, like you can see he's just like he goes right back to his stressed out mode from the beginning of the film. So yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. Best Actress leading, we've got Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Garzan for Amelia Perez. We might as well just X her out of this, yo. Mikey Madison for Honora, Demi Moore, The Substance, and then Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. I'll start with Mike. Who do you think's gonna win?
Well, I want and think Demi Moore is going to win. I think that the Academy is going to give it to her, even though it's going to be close between her and Mickey Madison. I think that this is Demi Moore's year. She's going to get it's one of those kind of, good job, you've been an actress this long. This movie is very much like her telling a twisted version of her own story, kind of how she's felt, like kind of getting pushed back and then kind of finding, I think, even though she hasn't picked a lot of great roles over the last decade, she's gotten back out there, and this is easily the best thing she's done in a very long time, and probably ever, honestly. So I think this is hers to win, and I loved the movie, and I think this is the thing they're going to actually make this movie win for, is Demi. So I think, again, The Substance is going to win. This will probably be the only thing it wins, honestly, is going to be for Demi. And again, the screeching chalkboard might come in and ruin my dreams, but I think it's going to come down to Demi Moore.
By the way, it's Demi.
Oh, sorry, Demi Moore.
And clearly you never saw Striptease or Half Light or The Seventh Sign. Anyway, I think she's great in a lot of the things that she does. But for me, want to win and will win, yeah, it's definitely Demi. So there was a big hubbub. It's interesting that she just popped back into the news, but they were interviewing Angela Bassett, and she was like, yeah, I was super disappointed when I didn't win the Oscar for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Jamie Lee Curtis got it for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I guess the tone of that was Jamie Lee's performance in EEO whatever wasn't all that great. And so we talk about this legacy, like she's had all these great performances. Let's give her an Oscar, right? Just like, oh, we fucked up with Blue Velvet. Let's give the Palme d'Or to David Lynch for Wild at Heart or whatever. But whatever, legacy award, whatever, she's deserving. It's such a meta performance. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was just shocked. She was amazing. Jeremy, who do you think is going to win? Are you the Demi train too?
It's right now. I'm still trying to decide right now, because here's the thing. I love Demi Moore. I love The Substance. I think she's very good in The Substance. I don't know if that's an Academy Award worthy performance. I'm not sure. And let me put it a thing, like Amelia Perez, nominated for a bunch of stuff, but besides for Cupcake, who do we know who actually likes Amelia Perez? I think a lot of people in the Academy probably don't like The Substance, because first of all, it's about them.
Yeah.
And it's gross. They do love Demi, though. But everybody loves an ingenue, Mikey.
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody loves an ingenue.
I think she's gonna win.
That's my heart, and I think I'm actually gonna go with Mikey Madison. I've loved Mikey Madison ever since I saw her in Pamela Adlin's show. I have enjoyed her in her film career. I have enjoyed her in her film career and watching her grow up. Between Scream and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there are many wannabe filmmakers hoping to one day set Mikey Madison on fire. And I think she's gonna mark her arrival. Let's put it there.
Excellent. So that's your want to win and will win, Mikey.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's interesting is ingenues don't usually get leading actress. Normally the ingenues get supporting actress. So
Paltrow.
Oh, that's true.
That's the only one that comes to head.
Yeah. But
I'm not sure what Keira Knightley won for.
So it's interesting. There's a part of me that thinks, yes, Mikey could also take it, but she's so young. She's got a lot of things ahead of her. So that's why I think potentially Demi. Okay, here we go, folks. We've got Best Picture. Here is our list of nominees. We have, and I don't know why the picture list got this long, but it just did. Honora, Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Our guest, Jeremy, what do you want to win as Best Picture, and what do you think will win as Best Picture?
What I want to win for Best Picture is Challengers by Luca Guadagnino, but it is not up there. So out of those, I think I want Honora to win. Okay. Even though I'm not sure where it is on my top 10 yet. I don't actually make that until the day of the Academy Awards. And it's The Substance is the top 5 is going to be really weird because my first 2 aren't nominated for anything. And then so I think I do want Honora to win because I think it's probably the most fun while also still having a personal touch. Like, it's a Sean Baker movie. There's no doubt about it. But it looks big because he got to film in nice, ritzy places. And it has an energy. And it has as much as I love Challengers, the scene of the year. That scene, middle section scene is the scene of the year. And I think that scene brings people a lot of joy outside of the WillDaBeast. And I think
that scene you're talking about.
I think that scene will propel the movie to Best Picture.
Okay. So that's your want to win and will win.
Yeah, it's really hard, man, because I love The Brutalist, but I don't know how high The Brutalist is going to be on my list. Because it's a rewatchability factor. Like, I'm going to watch Honora again. I can tell you that right now. Brutalist, it might be a decade before I watch it again.
That's fair. I'll go next. What I want to win, of course, The Substance, because when we talk about a film experience, I don't think there's been one quite like this that's gotten the accolades like ever. So I mean, it's so strange. It feels prestige, but it also feels a little like Guccione Caligula in some ways. Like, it's everything. And the way our society's heading and how in your face it was, I don't know. I wanted to win for Best Picture. It made a lot of people uncomfortable. I don't think you have to make people uncomfortable to be a good movie or a good filmmaker. But when you can do that, I think kudos to you. And I really did love Revenge as well. I think a lot of people didn't really see that, but I dug the Shizats out of that. But what I think is going to win is The Brutalist. And I think because, it's a compelling story. It's got wonderful visuals. It's well written. It's got that powerhouse performance by Adrian Brody. And I just, Jeremy, I concur with Challengers. It's so weird that film it was very sexually forward and just very like in your face, very Luca Guadagnino, very like sexual. And to be sure, there are films that have been nominated here that go above that, and yet Challengers wasn't nominated for like hardly
Poor
anything.
Things last year.
Yeah.
That's what Poor Things was all about.
Yeah, she tried to put an apple in her vagina, and then like it's a little too touchy because it's like a 3-way, and are the boys in love with each other? I don't understand. So anyway, but Mike, what do you think? Best Picture. What do you want to win? What do you think will win?
Brutalist, boy. It's going to happen. I want The Brutalist to win, and I think it's going to win. So
got it.
Yeah, but I thought it was awesome. I I was blown over by it, and just an absolute epic in every true to form fashion. A $10 million film that looks like it costs 150 million bucks. A timeless tale. Again, a theme. I always look for themes and things. The theme with a lot of these films are about repression, like being repressed by a system or government, and either being able to fight it or not being able to fight it, and or trying to make it through these oppression. So again, The Brutalist to me is just the top cake for this year. I really just loved everything about it, and I think that the Academy does too. So I think that they're going to give it to the right choice this year, which is The Brutalist. But I would also love it to be The Substance. Again, there's not many films in this list that I don't like. Again, I enjoyed all of these films, even Wicked. I know that's not your thing, Jeremy, but I thought Wicked was great.
Oh, I just haven't seen it.
It's so good.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And I hate that we didn't talk more about Fernanda Torres, because she was so good in I'm Still Here. And I'm Still Here, I hope it does really win that best foreign language, because it deserves it. But man, if she wins like she did the Golden Globe, I would be totally fine with that too. Again,
People say there's a large Brazilian memberships for the Academy, so don't be surprised.
Yes.
I wouldn't be, because she's really fucking good in it. I mean, she's great in the subtleness of it. And there's just so many moments in that movie where I was bowled over. So, but again, I think it's The Brutalist to lose at this point.
Excellent. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you. That was so cool. By the way, if you guys send me all of your predictions, I will compile them. And then after the broadcast, I will post on our Facebook page what our predictions were. So, and maybe a tally of who hit it off. And I think I did this one year, maybe on the Watch Skip Plus page. If everybody likes it, maybe we'll just do like a comment thread, live thread while we're watching. I think that'll be kind of fun. So yeah. Jeremy, Fakest of Shemps, thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully you'll join us next year. Loved your thoughts on all the films.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love the fact that there are people out there that actually like the awards, that enjoy talking about them, because that's not kind of the thing in our groups. So it's fun to have an outlet.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to see you soon anyway.
Yeah, I'll see you again soon. We're recording another. But Jeremy,
of course,
finally in the flesh, man. Good to see you. I mean, we've been talking for like well over a decade. So right. I was really like, when it came down to the Oscars, I knew that we had to have you on, because again, he's going to beat us. All of his guesses are going to win. I mean, he's really good.
If I remember Oppenheimer year. Hey, if I remember Oppenheimer year, you pretty much took the cake. You were getting all
23 out of Oppenheimer was Oppenheimer last year?
No. Yeah, last year. You were
okay. So I got 23 out of 24. But that's also the best. That's also the best. So the worst is
when it's up in the air like this. Yeah. Totally. All right. So we are reviewing The Monkey. So if you're listening to this, we usually do a normal pod roll, but not for our special episode. So everybody check out the Oscars and then come back to our Facebook page, where we're going to list the predictions, and then come in live snark the Oscars on our page if you'd like. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much, everybody. See ya.